Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55. Presented by Slapsticks Comedy Club. For ticket information, go to slapstickscomedy.com.
I'll be at Slapsticks Saturday night, 9:15. Throwing jokes. So come out and see me, slapstickscomedy.com for tickets. The great Paul Varghese is going to be there. Fantastic comedians headlining this weekend. Top 5 impact transfers for 2021. And look, I know that there could be more. These are 5 guys I think are in excellent situations and great fits for themselves and are going to affect their teams the most. Number 5, Charleston Rambo, who is at Miami now, transferred from Oklahoma. Craig, I know he didn't really hit the ceiling. He was good at Oklahoma. I don't know he didn't hit the ceiling, but for somewhere to go with De'Aaron King, I think he's going to fit in really well there, and he is their number 1 playmaker at Miami.
Who, De'Aaron King?
Well, I mean, as far outside of De'Aaron King, Charleston Rambo is going to be their number 1 playmaker.
Yeah, I've kind of lost track of him since he departed Oklahoma, but I do think that's a good pickup for Miami. He's obviously got some chemistry with De'Aaron King. Those two know each other quite well. It's interesting to see some Texas guys on the Miami roster. That's actually my biggest takeaway, because prior to De'Aaron King going there last year, I mean, the Texas talent was few and far between, and I get it. Like, you're based in South Florida. You don't really need the Texas talent when you've got it all in your own state and in neighboring states. But, I don't know. I'd have to actually look over a list. I don't know if he's top 5 in my opinion, but for the sake of argument, I do think he's going to be a great addition for Miami and should be, a nice little I said addition already, a bonus for them or whatever.
Yeah. Number 4, and I know he had a fumbling problem at Texas. I don't think he was used or coached right, but I think KEONTAY Ingram at USC is going to do well. I think that Graham Harrell is going to use him perfectly. He's very, very talented, and he just was not in the right spot. And he's not in the right offense. Tom Herman does not believe running backs exist on the
Well, I mean, he hurt himself too. He fumbled a lot. I mean, he had a fumbling issue. The first time we ever saw KEONTAY Ingram was in a semifinal state championship playoff semifinal game, and he was playing China Spring, who we were doing the broadcast for, and it was a hell of a game. It was a hellacious game, and KEONTAY Ingram was fantastic when he held onto the football. The problem was they probably beat China Spring by 4 touchdowns if he holds onto the football, Paul. And instead he had, 3 or 4 fumbles in that game? And just not even man, what a hit. And then he's just fumbling the football. And then he got to Texas, and he did a lot of that there as well. But everybody who has seen him play a little bit knows how freaky fast and dynamic and explosive he can be. But he's got to solve the ball control problem. And if he can do that, which I'm sure they're working on quite a bit out there in LA, then I think he can be a really dynamic and game-breaking type of player for them in a Harrell offense. I'm excited to see what he does.
Number 3, Apu Ika at Baylor. He's going to do something for them. I don't think that they had it a little bit a couple years ago, but I don't think they've had this in a long time.
No, even Bravion Roy, who they had a couple years back, who's now in the NFL with the Panthers, I mean, he was a little bit shorter, I believe. Apu is a big personality. Guy's super lovable. He's got to make sure that he stays on his P's and Q's as far as classes and things like that. But so far so good as far as his transition, and they're not even trying to hide the fact that there are giant expectations for this young man. I mean, they're basically just saying, no, look, these are the expectations, and, this is how much stock we're putting into you and how much weight we're putting on your shoulders specifically. And he knows that, and he seems cool with that. And if things go right, then he's an All-American type of player, in my opinion, in this defense based on what's around him and who's coaching him. I think he's got that level. Maybe not this year, but certainly in a couple years he's an All-American. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it this year, because I think their defense is going to be really good. Yeah.
Number 2, Key Lawrence at Oklahoma. One of the many Tennessee transfers into the Oklahoma program. This guy is a really good safety who can get around the ball, who can make plays. And I think with Alex Grinch's defense, you add some real legit playmakers to that. This is going to be dangerous when you play Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think is the number 1 Oklahoma as well? is your number one Oklahoma?
No, it's not.
Okay, Eric Gray's the one that's gotten far more attention, I think, this offseason.
And I left him off because of that, I think, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. But, yeah, Eric Gray's the one, the running back who's gotten the most attention. I haven't really read a lot about Key Lawrence. I don't have much of an opinion on him. I saw him, a little bit at Tennessee. But, honestly, I haven't really just read or heard much about him, so I don't have a great take on this.
And part of the reason I took Eric Gray off is, look, he's coming back in. Kennedy Brooks is coming back too. They're loaded at running back, and Eric Gray's probably going to be fantastic, and so is Kennedy Brooks. But to me, it's like, who has the bigger impact?
No, I think Kennedy Brooks is definitely flying under the radar. I think he's going to be back with just a force this season, and I was really surprised he even came back. When a lot of guys announced, like, we're sitting out this year because of COVID or whatever, I just assumed that, like, okay, so what you're really doing is you're getting ready for the draft, but you're just leaving the door open. But Kennedy Brooks came back, and I was surprised by that. So I think, Oklahoma, there's a lot of people between the addition of Lawrence and then Gray and then Brooks. You got Rattler back, Marvin Mims back. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to like the Sooners this year.
Yeah, and number one, Eric Gilbert, wide receiver, tight end, whatever he is, at Georgia. This is a playmaker Georgia hasn't had in a little bit, and they've already got another good tight end, and he was LSU, and then he wanted to go to Florida, and then go to Georgia. So really the only thing I think Eric Gilbert has to get through is his own head and focus on being a Georgia Bulldog, and I think he's going to be a dominant Kyle Pitts type player.
Yeah, no, that's a weird one to see somebody going from LSU to Georgia in conference like that.
After a brief stop at Florida.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. I mean, that's strange. It's super strange, but no, he's a dude, and I'm sure Georgia's going to get a lot of usage out of him. So definitely agree with him being, the most impactful transfer this offseason. I'm surprised you didn't mention Mackenzie Milton at Florida State.
We'll see. We'll see. Here's the thing. He
worried about his health or something?
Yeah, and I think he'll be very impactful, but they also have Jordan Travis, who's going to play. I mean, he's going to play a lot, I would think, because he's an unreal playmaker. He's just not a quarterback necessarily yet. So
I'd say, too, I also think Tanner Mordecai at SMU is going to probably be pretty good. Now, I'm not saying he's on the level of these guys per se, but I do think in a Sonny Dykes offense, you saw Shane Buechele have a lot of success. Tanner's been waiting now for a while to be like a starter. And probably he's not going to be playing. I mean, the competition is not going to be all that different, but SMU is probably more fitting for him than Oklahoma was, if that makes sense. But there's so many other names, and you only had to do 5. But that's just how wild the transfer portal is we could have made like a top 15 list and had legitimately 15 guys who will be impactful this year, and probably more than that. That's the wild nature of the transfer portal.
Yeah. All right. Thanks to Craig.